Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another video. Out on another walk. It's a little bit cooler. Alhamdulillah, the heat is breaking. I thought, inshallah, we're going to try to do another sisters meetup, sisters meet and greet. There's a lot of sisters joining the group, and alhamdulillah, learning about the UAE through the channel. They are starting to move here. The husbands are reaching out to the brother who does the visas and making the move. So, alhamdulillah for that. I'm so happy that the channel is being effective. It's being informative for everyone. Even if you decide not to come here, the information is here for you to share with others and recommend to others. So at least if you choose not to come, you're fully aware of what to expect when you get here. Also, we've been having visitors come and take the tour to learn more about the UAE on the ground, because it is definitely a different experience when you are on the ground and seeing everything in front of your face. All of the information that you've looked at and seen, it comes together, and you're informed of even more things because you can actually put everything in perspective since it's right in front of you. Sorry, this is a residential area, and some of the back streets don't have street lights. See the main road, see all the lights over there. But here's a school, and what lights up the streets are the shops. So, and this street I'm walking on, sorry. This street I'm walking on is pretty vacant. It's just cars out here, a lot of empty land. So there's no lights. So let's get into the topic. And the topic is nature, knowing your nature, and how knowing your nature is very important, especially when you're making hijrah. And the religion, tells us about human nature, different types of human nature. Alhamdulillah. It's a matter of, comes down to implementing, learning first if you don't know, and then implementing what you learn and getting to know yourself. Doing ilm al-nafs, knowledge of the self, is important. So some people are naturally impatient, right? Some people are naturally hot-headed. They get angry very quickly, and they can't control themselves. We call that in America, you need to go to anger management, because you get angry way too fast. Anything can set you off. So you need help with your anger. Some people just naturally are like that. It's not necessarily something that comes from trauma. They don't have to have particularly been through anything in life that caused them to have anger issues. Some people are just born like that. And the reason why I know that is because I have a kid that's born that way, naturally angry. But alhamdulillah for coaching and giving techniques and appealing to logic and trying to give skills to help tame that angry nature. So when it comes to hijrah, You need to know yourself, because if you are a naturally impatient person and you're lacking the knowledge that you need to help you be patient, those are things that you're going to have to combat and work on. What I've learned about Hijrah is that you're tested tremendously in areas that you don't expect. You are 100% tested in areas that you need to be tested in and that you need to grow in, and that things that you need to overcome. But so many people are not aware of their nature, they're not aware of themselves, of their weaknesses, and then when they're met with it and faced with it, especially on Hijrah, they run. I think I mentioned this before. They 100% run away. They can't take it. Some people have never sat with themselves or been quiet long enough to actually get to know themselves. They're always busy. They're always in the company of people. They're always preoccupied with something and always have family around, some type of convenience, some type of help, some type of assistance. But when you come on Hijrah, unless you have family over here to give you a cushion, you are in a vulnerable state. Nothing is familiar, and people like familiarity, and that's the test in it all. The Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, they were they were taunted and teased and mocked at for leaving their belongings and everything that they knew behind in Mecca. They were threatened with, "Oh, you're leaving behind all of your belongings and your family and this and that," as a scare tactic to prevent them or to deter them from migrating to another place, for Allah and His Messenger. So, quite naturally, people want comfortability, familiarity, and we are afraid of the unknown. But that's where Iman comes in at. Allah created us with different natures. Like I said, some are ill natures and some are good natures. Both can be a double-edged sword. What I mean by that is those who have good natures. For example, if you're naturally a patient person, on the flip side, you're naturally a patient person, then that works in your favor when trials and tests come. You don't have to work as hard to be patient because you're a patient person anyway, right? It may be a little struggle, you might get afraid and things like that, but you're patient. Some people have that naturally. But then it's a double-edged sword when you're patient with things that you have no business being patient with. When you see with your eyes that some things are just not going to change in individuals and in situations that you are tolerating and being patient with, and it's absolutely dispraiseworthy and even haram. So in that case, your good nature is dispraiseworthy, and you would have to fight to gain a nature that has strength in areas where you're supposed to build strength, build resistance, build confidence, build intolerance for certain things that you're supposed to have intolerance for. There are deal breakers and things that are haram that a person is not supposed to be patient with. You're supposed to show indifference towards it. Another example, someone who has a soft nature, he doesn't like confrontation. That's not a bad thing. But when it comes to combating evil, when it comes to standing up for yourself, not being a coward, or just letting things go No, we're not going to deal with that. You have to fight the soft nature that you have of not wanting to be into conflict and combat when it comes to areas that you need to stand up for the truth, stand up for justice, and things like that. And of course, we already know what the ill natures. You have people who they have every characteristic and nature of whatever exists in the earth. From those who have characteristics of parasites, where they will stick to a person, imitate everything that they do. They don't have literally live off the persona, mentality, behavior of someone else or something else. A parasite. You have those who are pigs, or like pigs. Absolutely disgusting. All of these natures are a test for us, for those who are wolves. You got people who are wolves. They're like wolves. They're like lions. They're very aggressive. Some people are very domineering. They can't help it in themselves, what they say. They can't help it because it's their nature. But that comes from not being self-aware. You can help it. You can change it. It's just upon you to work on it. You have to know that it's incorrect. And what levels all of this out? The religion. The religion. Allah tells us to follow the Prophet ﷺ. He was the best example. That's why you study akhlaq and manners. I have certain characteristics by nature that I had to fight. I had to fight them. Some of them came from circumstances. You know, you growing up in the city, you develop certain behaviors, certain demeanors for survival or just instinct, you know, being raised in the city, which are necessary for those environments. Then you have to, when you move into another environment, you have to learn how to turn that off because it's not a need to have that kind of resistance or demeanor or, you know, what do you call it? Just a minute. I want to put this down for him. 1 minute. Had to tie my shoe. Ouch. Sorry. Yeah. Certain demeanors that you have to have in certain environments. You need to learn how to turn those off when you go into an environment that you don't need to practice those things in anymore. Yeah, knowledge of the self is important. Self-discipline is important. And Islam gives us all those tools. If a person is a liar, that's another thing too. You lie by nature, just a liar. You're a liar. You're a deceiver. You can't help yourself. You like to deceive people, or you like to be a know-it-all. You're someone who I have to know it all. I can't stand someone knowing more than me. That's something you have to control. That's something you have to fight. That's a nature you have to fight. Or it'll destroy. The reality is those ill natures will destroy you. They'll destroy you. They'll destroy your relationships. They'll destroy your current life in many ways. And that destruction doesn't always mean monetary destruction. You're going to be poor. No. Relationships, sum'ah, your reputation, you know, just just having camaraderie between people. You know, the human beings will hate to see you coming. They'll make dua against you when you die. So those ill characteristics or those ill natures are destructive, and they need to be dealt with. Issues of religion, for those who have those soft natures or their shy natures, when it comes to religion, the more difficult affairs of religion, like manhaj, they shy away. Or the ones who don't like conflict, they shy away. Those soft natures cause them to turn away from things that they shouldn't. That's not permissible to turn away from. You'll let innovations or mukhalafat slide, or you won't take a position against someone because you love that person, or you just don't want to, ruffle any feathers. But you'll gain the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by cooperating with that person. You don't want to rock the boat because your nature just, I don't want to. But the religion comes first. So I say all that to say, like, Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, he was known to be a very soft-spoken, mild-tempered man. But when someone violated the religion, then he would become stern and serious. And that's how you're supposed to be. When you have a soft nature, sternness comes into play. Rujula, or manhood, comes into play when it needs to, or womanhood, because those characteristics are not reserved just for men. Women also, unfortunately, those characteristics are not prevalent in women during this time. But if you read the books of the Salaf, the women in the past were women. Like Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, his grandmother, Taymiyyah, was known to be a caller. She was someone who would remind the people. And there were many women scholars of the past whom men used to come and learn from. So those characteristics are not reserved just for males. These are for men and women. Sternness where you're supposed to be stern. Strength where you're supposed to have strength. Softness when you're supposed to be soft. Human beings are fluid. We're made from clay. So with Allah's help, that's where Iman comes in at, and tawakkul, with Allah's help, the characteristics that you need to embrace or work on, especially for Hijrah, that's going to help you and aid you in your Hijrah, you can do so with Allah's assistance. Allah is able to do all things. A person can say, well, I don't have the ability to know, I don't have the ability to do that. Well, I'm not like that. I'm not naturally affectionate. I'm not naturally, okay. Well, ask Allah for it and practice. You're a stingy person, start giving. You're a liar, start telling the truth. Even if it's against your own self. It's easy. It's easy to start. I'm not saying that overcoming it is easy, but it's easy for whom Allah makes easy for it. So yeah, that's the topic for tonight. I just wanted to share that with you all, and let you know that this is something that people face. And many, because like I said, they're not aware, they're not self-aware. They don't fight themselves. They don't know what they're feeling, fear, and they can't open up to anyone because, unfortunately, what they're going to hear is a reinforcement of doubts and discouragement. They're not going to get encouragement. They're going to get discouragement. So people are afraid to even open up. They can't talk to anybody about what I'm feeling and how to overcome it. And it's extra pressure on men because if the wife is not on the same page, he can't open up to her. Of course not. Because she's going to think of him as being weak. Again, not understanding nature of human beings and situations and conditions, thinking light of everything, thinking that life is just easy, it's a piece of cake. It's not. Absolutely 100% not. So I hope someone benefited from this and take it in consideration and hopefully it's a means for you to, you know, put the put the put the information and the insight in your pocket, keep it in mind for when you make the move, and then you got to put it into practice, which is the hardest part. Talk is easy, and I'm talking from experience. These are things that I have had to do and are currently doing. Implementation inside my heart, my mind. I'm implementing. So I'm speaking from experience. The advice I give and the insight I give is from experience. You have to walk the walk. It's easy to talk, super easy. But when a person can give you detailed advice on how to maneuver something, maneuver through something, and explain to you in detail to you what you're feeling, then you know that person has gone on that path. They've been down that road before. A person who has nothing for you, they have a bunch of empty slogans and quotes and advices. But when you ask for advice, and not everybody's a teacher, not everyone's a teacher. When you ask for advice or, you know, details or ask them to expound on what they're saying, nothing. Why? Because they are copycats. They're blowing smoke. They took the information or the inspiration from somewhere and then leave you hanging. So you have to know who to take things from, and that's no problem. That's no problem. Someone gave you information and they didn't walk the walk themselves. Still take it from them. It's okay. It's okay, but it's upon you to do the work. Nothing that comes across our ears are for no reason. Everything that we come across is for a reason, whether it's for guidance or to test us to see if we're going to accept or reject guidance or misguidance, belief or disbelief. All of it is Allah's qadr. So that's what I have to say for the night. Inshallah, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for tuning in once again. Don't forget the Hijrah, a mandate sacrifice. Ma'asalama.